morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're now at Rayburn Correctional Center. It's 9:35 a.m. on Monday, February 3rd, 2025. Good morning, Warden. Would you and your staff introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, ma'am. Warden Travis Day.
Kristen Herbert, records. Tracy Taylor, classifications.
Good morning, and we have Mr. Anderson. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am.
Would you introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, ma'am. Stan Anderson, 110504.
All right, Mr. Anderson, let me acknowledge some folks we have with us here today. We have folks from the First 72, Miss Mia Lowy, who will be speaking at the appropriate time. We'll call on her to do so. In opposition, we have a representative from the District Attorney's Office in Jefferson Parish, and we'll call on him at the appropriate time also. First, Mr. Anderson, I'm going to read some identifying information into the record. Mr. Anderson, you're classified as a second felony offender. You're currently serving a 30-year sentence as a habitual offender. You were sentenced in July of 1998 for attempted first-degree murder. You have a parole eligibility date, which is August 1st, 2021. And you have a good time date, September 11, 2027. Does all that sound accurate to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Anderson, before we hear from everybody who wants to speak and we do our interview with you, we'd like for you to tell us what led you to jail? Why are you in jail? And why do you think that this panel should vote favorably for you today, to vote in your favor?
Yes, ma'am. Night of the crime, it was a traffic stop. Me and the officer, when he pulled me over, all the officer was doing was his job. I'm the one that got combated with the officer right after he went to ask me my name and called in, my license plate. But one thing led to another, and we got off into a physical altercation. And as I was breaking away, we both shot at each other simultaneously. I'm running away in fear. But they were totally my fault because I'm the one started everything with the officer. The officer just was doing his job. But as I go through my classes and all that, I understand why I did the things that I was doing. I didn't know I had anger issues and all that at the time. I'm going through life having all sorts of problems, not really knowing myself. For me going through these anger management classes and that type of stuff, it just opened my eyes to a lot of things in my life in the past. Like the last class I just took, the CERT or substance abuse class. They say, well, 92% of the criminals that commit crimes, they be on some type of mind-altering drug, and that right there had me thinking, my pastime of getting in trouble. Every time I got in trouble, I was under the influence, and I was glad I took that class. That opened my eyes, ma'am.
I'm glad you took it too. Why
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
think we ought to vote for you today? Why do you think so?
Ma'am, I can't hear you.
Why do you think we ought to vote to grant your parole today?
I feel that right now, I'm the best version of myself. I'm not the person I was when I come in. I'm just not. A lot of things I've done, I know now that I was wrong. I was just doing the wrong thing, following the wrong people, being around the wrong crowd and stuff like that. But since I've been incarcerated, I did the best that I could to rehabilitate myself. Looking forward just to try to do the right thing and make the right decision for my future, ma'am.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. We would like to hear from Warden Day now. Warden, what can you tell us about Mr. Anderson?
Yes, ma'am. Stanley's been at RCC since 2008. He's a healthcare orderly, and he's been in there since 2009 in the infirmary, assisting with the patients in there and the nursing staff. As far as Stanley's character, always very nice and really have no issues with him. He's always very respectful to staff when I'm around. So looking at his disciplinary history, he does have a property destruction in 2017 where he was tying some extra weight on a weight bar, and he got an infraction for that, and had another contraband where he had some extra items in his locker and under his bed. But like I said, he works in the infirmary and does a good job in there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We'd like to hear now from Miss Mia Lowy, please, with the First 72.
Good morning. Thank you so much to the board for giving me the opportunity to speak today in support of Mr. Stanley Anderson. My name is Mia Lowy, and I'm the Director of Client Services at the First 72 Plus. We are a reentry organization based in New Orleans, working to stop the cycle of incarceration by providing adequate support to those returning home from prison. We've been working with Mr. Anderson for a bit, since last April, I believe, to create a solid reentry plan for if he is released. Mr. Anderson interviewed and was accepted into our transitional housing program. So this program grants him 90 days to live in our transitional house free of charge while he works intensively with his assigned case manager to gain employment, open up a bank account, meet all these milestones. So that way, when the 3 months is over, we are able to send him off into the world as an independent person, living, working, and having stable housing. So the case manager will provide Mr. Anderson with employment support, will help him create a resume, connect him with any job training programs he's interested in, apply for jobs with fair chance employers. We're actually opening up our cooking school in the coming months. And during his incarceration, Mr. Anderson has obtained his GED and completed an immense amount of programming. He expressed interest in attending our culinary school. So we believe that this program will provide him with the knowledge and skills to obtain a job in the restaurant industry for completion. Mr. Anderson will work with our economic empowerment team to open a bank account, create a budget, and begin saving to afford that apartment after his 90-day stay has been completed. Our public benefits clinic will help Mr. Anderson apply for food stamps, Medicaid, SSI if needed. We will help him obtain any missing I-9 documentation, such as a birth certificate, a state ID, or a social security card. Mr. Anderson will be set up with an appointment at the FIT clinic, that stands for the Formerly Incarcerated Transition Clinic. So that will get him in with a primary care physician to get a checkup and any prescriptions renewed that he may have been taking during his incarceration. His mental health and substance use has already been addressed. He's completed an assessment with CADA. So he has already been input into their system, and he will be completing counseling with them upon returning home. We have a few social support groups as well. We have a 9 Steps to Staying Free class, which is a weekly peer mentorship class for formerly incarcerated people, supporting each other through the barriers of transitioning back into society. It addresses a lot of the same topics that classes, while they are incarcerated, do. So things like victim awareness, mental health, responding versus reacting. We have a family reunification program. Mr. Anderson is really eager to return to the city and meet his 3 grandchildren for the first time, as well as reconnect with his 3 sons. This program helps mend any familial relationships that are fractured due to a loved one's incarceration. Mr. Anderson will also be enrolled in our 5-day life skills class, which will help him readjust to living in New Orleans. These classes cover navigating public transportation, learning any renamed streets, answering the conviction question during a job interview, and setting attainable goals for the first year post-incarceration. So our team is really, really eager to welcome Mr. Anderson home and support him through this transition. He has one of the brightest spirits and best attitudes that I have ever had the pleasure to interact with. And I believe that he will really, really succeed and blossom when he comes home. So thank you so much for your time and consideration, and I hope that you will take my words into account today.
All right, could we hear from the DA's office, please?
Good morning, Randall Meyer, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. And we're opposed to Mr. Anderson's request for parole. Looking at his criminal history, he had a prior first-degree murder that he pled to manslaughter and was incarcerated. A number of resisting and battery offenses. And in this particular offense, he struck the officer and resisted arrest by flight. Then he pointed his weapon at the officer and discharged the weapon, shot at the officer. That's completely unacceptable. Looking at what he's done since he's been incarcerated, I find his programming is pretty limited. He took anger management back in 14 and 15. He took 100 hours. Then he's had living in balance in 2016 and 17 and thinking for a change in 22. He's had no victim-related programs. That's very concerning. Looking at his certificates, he got a certificate in 23 for some 8-week course in self-discovery, self-motivation, and positive affirmations. And then 2024, he received a certificate for the Trauma Healing Institute. I still feel there's more programming that he needs to do prior to him being released, particularly victim accountability and other victim courses that he could have. And since the last hearing in 2022, all he's had was thinking for a change, which was in December of 22. He completed that, and the certificates I mentioned. So for those reasons, we're opposed to his request.
Thank you. We appreciate your input. Mr. Anderson, your case has been assigned to Mrs. Ledoux. Would you answer her questions, please?
Good morning, Mr. Anderson.
Good morning.
Before I start asking you questions, I'm curious about something. Gordon, do you have a classification person there available to you?
Yes, ma'am.
I've got a question about his credits for programming. On the master prison record, it says 75 days. And reviewing the different programming, we have a copy of his program completions, and there are many, many hours that have not been attributed, it looks like.
Yes, ma'am. He's a habitual offender, and habitual offenders were not eligible to receive credits until 11/1/17. And it looks like he completed most of his classes before 11/1/17. I was actually just talking about this before, and I wanted to check it when I get back to my office and make sure that all of them that were supposed to be credited are credited. But I do see he would not have been eligible prior to 11/1/17.
That has solved the mystery in my mind.
But I will check it when I get back to my office.
Yeah, there's so many laws that change that's hard to keep up with. Thank you. Mr. Anderson, I want to acknowledge that you have said some statements that are very accurate. When you said that the officer fired his weapon at you, and then you fired back, that he had a right to, you were a felon and you had a firearm. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, that is such a dangerous job. And you were already, had already spent 10 years incarcerated for a manslaughter, and you should not have had a weapon on you. And you acknowledged that. And I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a little concerned about your conduct record. When I see someone who's had 13 write-ups, but the problem is they've been more recent and consistent. You said you were working towards rehabilitation. Why don't you address some of those write-ups? How did you get them, and what were you thinking? Why am I seeing all these write-ups? 13 write-ups, and some as recent as 2020, 2019, 2016, 15.
We tied up on 9 pounds, adding weight to the ball. And
The 19, it was a 30W.
okay, 19 with 30W. Well, a friend of mine asked me he had a head cold. He asked me that I had some sinus pills. I told him, yeah, I'll bring you 4. I grabbed the minister, told the people, walked down into the kitchen, and I gave him that. What the other one, what year it was?
What's the contraband 2019? What was the contraband?
That was one where they was doing a shakedown of his property in his locker, and he had one large plastic container that wouldn't have been sold in the canteen, and it has some fried chicken in it.
Okay. Those are no crimes of violence necessarily, so that's a little more palatable for me. What was the circumstance of your first manslaughter? Was it drug related or?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. It was me being in the club, and I stepped on this guy's feet. I told him, I told him I was sorry, and I went on with the girl who I was with. And maybe about 30 to 45 minutes later, she came back with 3 other guys saying, well, there he is right there. And they all jumped on me. And so the bouncer in the club, they stopped us and they pulled us outside the club where the fight continued. And they all crowded me and stuff like that. And a friend of mine helped me get them off of me. And I was able to get a weapon from my friend who commenced doing what I did, hurting the individual.
Convinced doing what you did, what did you do? So
I mean, when I took the shot at the victim, I killed him, being under the influence.
okay. I'm gonna defer to my other colleagues as well. Any other questions?
Yeah, how many total years have you been incarcerated?
27. I'm actually doing my 28th year right now.
Did 10 years for the manslaughter?
I think it was 7 years and 9 months.
Okay, thank you.
You are.
All right, I don't see any other questions. I think, is the panel prepared today? Is this what we'll do? I am.
Mr. Anderson, I'm sorry, but past actions are a strong predictor of future behavior. 2 murders concerns me greatly, especially with the time distance between them. I'm thrilled that you're doing some good work. I appreciate that you're not a terrible problem in the system. And most of all, Ms. Lowy, I commend you significantly for the work that you have done for reentry. An excellent job. I've not met you or heard from you before, and I read over the report. It was very detailed, very, and I hope those same services are available at any point that he gets out. Today, my vote is to deny parole based on past criminal history.
Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Stanley, last time I voted to grant you parole, and I'm looking at it, and I don't see any more write-ups since then. But now you get out, if you go take those classes, you're gonna get out in a year. And I really think you would benefit from those classes to refresh your memory on what the classes were about. So today I'm gonna vote to deny, because I think you'll benefit from those classes and it wouldn't add, I mean, you'll be out within a year.
Mr. Tiller.
My vote is to grant, with the conditions of taking those classes.
Mrs. Stapleton.
My vote is to deny based upon your past violent criminal history, law enforcement opposition, and you do need the class in victim awareness.
Mr. Anderson, today my vote would be to grant after you complete the victims program and any other recommended programs by the warden. However, sir, you've received two votes to grant, 3 votes to deny, so the outcome of today's proceeding is that your parole application has been denied, sir. Good luck to you, sir. Try to get enrolled in that victim class. Warden, that concludes our business. We're going to sign off at your facility, 9:55. Thank you so much.